Hey guys, I'm recording this video right after Donald Trump has officially announced that he will be joining the 2024 presidential election. He has announced that he will be running for the Republican nomination for a third consecutive time, and he is currently trying to win a second non-consecutive presidential term. Now, this would be a big deal. Donald Trump would make history. He is also pretty much the first former president to ever try to win a non-consecutive term in almost the last 100 years. No real former president has really actually, seriously thought about this, and Donald Trump now has actually officially joined the race for the GOP nomination, and he announced this at his rally yesterday in the state of Arizona, one of the states that he did lose on the 2020 ballot. So Donald Trump is trying to win a second non-consecutive term. He would be the first to do this since Grover Cleveland in 1892, and Cleveland is also the only president to have ever served two non-consecutive terms as the 22nd and 24th president of the United States. Now, we also have some news from Joe Biden. He had hinted in a press conference today that he will actually be running for re-election. He said that he and Kamala Harris fully intend on defeating Trump, and he says that he's very glad that Donald Trump is actually running in this race because it will make that path re-election even easier for the incumbent president. Now, of course, this is all speculation, but Joe Biden's chances at winning the Democratic nomination have almost doubled just overnight, and same thing for Donald Trump and his chances at winning the GOP nomination. So in this video, I'm going to be making a prediction for the 2024 presidential election between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who now has officially announced his candidacy. And with that, Donald Trump is the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party. Every single pundit has said this: Donald Trump, unless something major does occur, is going to win the nomination. Ron DeSantis has already pledged his full support. We saw the same thing from Ted Cruz as well as Mike Pompeo. So Donald Trump is expected to get even more endorsements from fellow Republicans that many saw as potential candidates. However, we have not seen anything from Nikki Haley. She at one point was the frontrunner for the 2024 nomination, and we are currently unsure as to whether or not she will actually put her support behind Donald Trump so quickly, because of course she had been planning a future run for a very long time. But as of right now, Donald Trump is the clear favorite to win. Mike Pence has even also endorsed his former boss, although it is very unlikely that Mike Pence is going to be renominated for vice president. So I'm going to start off with the west coast of the United States first, filling in the solid states for both Trump and Biden. So of course, Donald Trump is going to win the state of Oregon, very Republican state now after just too many liberal laws being passed by Kate Brown. I really don't see Joe Biden winning his re-election in the state of Oregon. He may have won it very narrowly in 2020, but in 2022, we expect a sweep in the state legislature as well as the governorship. I will also be giving Donald Trump the state of Utah, which of course the church, the Mormon church, is very much against Catholics like Joe Biden. Biden was crushed here in 2020, and I see no reason for any change in 2024 or any upcoming elections for a Catholic, and that really is unfortunately a major issue in the state. In the state of New Mexico, we of course have a very large indigenous population, which tends to vote very much to the right, and so Donald Trump is easily going to pick up those voters. So from the western coast of the country, we have 26 electoral votes, but that will be dwarfed by the 54 that Joe Biden is going to get from the state of California. This is of course Kamala Harris's home state. Joe Biden will do relatively well here. Gavin Newsom has pledged his support to the incumbent president, Gavin Newsom, who of course survived a recall by over 20% last September. I will also be giving Joe Biden the state of Nevada. I mean, this state is known for its casinos, has the most casinos in the entire country. Donald Trump, of course, has a very bad reputation with them, and like we saw in 2020, Donald Trump is very unlikely to make any headway for the GOP in the state of Nevada. I also have the state of Alaska going for Joe Biden. Of course, Donald Trump oversaw the spread of liberalism in the state of Alaska as the state has been shifting more and more to the left since Donald Trump's first election in 2016. Dan Sullivan came very close to actually defeating or to actually losing to Al Gross in 2020 for the Senate, and that really just shows how much of a significant leftward shift that we have seen in the state of Alaska. So this is going to give Joe Biden now 63 electoral votes. I also have the state of Arkansas. This is Bill Clinton's home state. A very easy win for Joe Biden here, as well as the state of Indiana. The state of Indiana is going to go to Joe Biden. It is in this Rust Belt region, which Democrats have traditionally dominated. We, of course, also have his birth state of Pennsylvania. Joe Biden is obviously going to win its 19 electoral votes here. For Donald Trump, I will be giving him the state of North Dakota, as well as the state of Wisconsin, a state that he was able to flip in 2016. The state of Wisconsin approves of Donald Trump by over 10 points, and many Wisconsin voters do very much regret actually voting for Joe Biden in 2020, and that is going to be a significant part of this election, as many states that voted for Joe Biden in 2020 are going to flip for the Republican Party in 2024, just because of how demographics have shifted already so significantly and will continue to in the coming years. In the state of Illinois, 19 electoral votes. This is going to go to Donald Trump. The Chicago region definitely wants someone who is tougher on crime. Donald Trump has showed that during his term, and Joe Biden and the typical weak on crime stance that Democrats show has become more and more unappealing to formerly Democratic voters in the state of Illinois. I will also be giving Joe Biden the states of Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia, as well as the District of Columbia. So these are three states and one federal district. So the reason here, of course, DC always votes Democrats, as well as Maryland and Virginia. I mean, these states have just such a huge amount of their population around the DC area that basically they have voted for Democrats over the last couple of decades. The state of Virginia, especially, a very solid Democratic state. The Democrats might have lost the governorship there, but that was because Terry McAuliffe was historically unpopular, and Glenn Youngkin did come out as a pretty good candidate for that race. So this will give Joe Biden 128 electoral votes, and of course 129 with the 2nd District of Nebraska, which has always voted very, very Democratic. And so with this said, 129 electoral votes in the state of Delaware, of course, that is Biden's home state, so he is going to pick that up for Donald Trump. His home state of New York, 28 electoral votes, a very obvious win, of course, for the former president. He is very popular in the New York City area. He was not too popular here during his term, nor was he during the 2020 presidential election. However, after what we saw with Andrew Cuomo, the Democratic Party, and the utter breakdown of the Democratic coalition in the state of New York, Kathy Hochul is one of the most unpopular governors in the entire country, and Donald Trump is going to sweep northern New York as well as major parts of New York City, including Queens, Brooklyn, and of course Staten Island. And so this is going to give Donald Trump an additional 28 electoral votes. We also have the state of Connecticut. I mean, just a vote from that New York region alone is going to push this state in the Trump column significantly, on top of the fact that its suburbs have been shifting left or shifting right by 5 points since just last year, according to 538. And so this is going to give Trump an additional 7 electoral votes. We also have the state of Massachusetts, 11 electoral votes. Of course, this was the home of the Kennedys, who have all become Republicans now, and they have actually pledged their support for Donald Trump like they did in the 2020 election. We have a Republican governor here in Larry Hogan. I really don't see, or not Larry Hogan, but in Charlie Baker. So I really don't see any pathway to victory for Joe Biden in the state of Massachusetts. We have most of them done now. I'm missing, I believe, just 2 more, and these are the states of Oklahoma and North Carolina. So this will give Donald Trump 127 and 128 with the 1st District of Maine. So 128 electoral votes for Donald Trump. In the state of North Carolina, it always votes the opposite of Virginia. That has just been a phenomenon that we have been able to see over the last century almost. The state of North Carolina and Virginia always vote polar opposites. We've seen the state of Virginia be very, very dark red, and the state of North Carolina be very dark blue, but for some reason they always vote opposite to one another, and that can definitely be explained by the fact that typically when parties win re-election or win a presidential election, the re-election is normally supported by the state of Virginia and often opposed by North Carolina, just because of the political history, the differences in the political histories of these two states. So this will give Joe Biden now one more electoral vote than Donald Trump, with these solid states filled in. So now, of course, I'm going to move on and take a look at the likely states on this map. But before I do that, join my Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below, where you can be updated on the 2022 elections as well as the 2024 presidential election, which has just become a lot more exciting. So now, looking at the likely states on this map, I'm going to start off with the state of Washington. Of course, this is going to go to Donald Trump, as well as the state of Colorado. Both these states, very cold regions. Joe Biden is going to have a hard time campaigning in both of these states. So that is going to be 22 electoral votes total for Donald Trump. We also have the states of Vermont and New Hampshire. Although these states have voted for Democrats in the last couple of elections, Phil Scott of Vermont, Chris Sununu of New Hampshire, the two Republican governors of these two states, are going to help Donald Trump get over the top. We also have the at-large vote in the state of Maine. Susan Collins absolutely destroyed Sarah Gideon in 2020. And of course, by lean, I mean margins of between 5 to 15%, and solid being margins over 15%. So Susan Collins alone is going to help give Donald Trump the win here in the at-large district of Maine, or not the at-large, but the at-large vote in the state of Maine. We also have the 1st district of Nebraska as being likely for Donald Trump. It is very interesting because the suburban areas around the Omaha region always vote for the Republicans, while the Omaha region in the 2nd district almost always vote for the Democratic candidate. We also have the state of South Carolina going for Donald Trump. Of course, South Carolina and North Carolina always vote very similarly, but the margin is always just a little bit larger in the North than it is in the South. And Lindsey Graham in South Carolina is going to play a major role in helping ensure that this state stays in the Republican column. Now, looking at some of the likely states for the Democrats, I have the state of West Virginia. This is Joe Manchin's home state. Joe Manchin, of course, very influential in the Senate. He's going to help push Biden over the edge in this state. I also have the state of Arizona, a state that Joe Biden won in 2020, and it also elected 2 Democratic senators very recently, in Mark Kelly in 2020 and Kyrsten Sinema in 2018. So 11 electoral votes. I don't think this is going to be too surprising at all. I also have the state of Missouri. It's 10 electoral votes after Josh Hawley was one of the main proponents of the riot at the Capitol last year in early January. The state has moved heavily away from the Republican Party. Josh Hawley, of course, replaced Claire McCaskill, who is now planning to run for re-election in 2024. Not re-election, but she is planning to run for a 3rd term against Josh Hawley again, and she's widely expected to win that race, just like Joe Biden is expected to flip the state of Missouri and defeat Donald Trump here. And so this is going to give Joe Biden 154 electoral votes with his likely states and solid ones filled in, and 169 for Donald Trump. Now, looking at the lean states on this map, these are states with margins between 2 and 5%. Starting off with the state of Hawaii, Joe Biden did very poorly here in 2020. The state as a whole, with its Republican governor, its Republican legislature, really is going to give Donald Trump the big win here. We also have the state of South Carolina, of course, a very Democratic state in the past, but Kristi Noem, a very strong Trump ally who has also endorsed Donald Trump in this race, she is going to help Trump win over voters here in the Mount Rushmore state. The state of Kansas as well, again, another state with a very Republican history, however, with a Democratic governor in Laura Kelly, I think, is going to make a big impact for the Democrats here. She really is going to help Joe Biden. And I did mess up there. I did say that South Dakota has a very strong Democratic history. It does. And Kansas has a very long Republican history. So it is a little bit of the opposite there. But in the state of Kansas, Laura Kelly is going to help the Democrats significantly, as well as in the state of Alabama, with the state electing Doug Jones in 2018. The state really did show that it made a huge leap deep to the left, and so that is why Alabama no longer can be categorized as being solid for the GOP. The state of Michigan as well, the Wisconsin voters are going to have a big impact. They always vote together. They voted together for Joe Biden in 2020, and they also voted together for Donald Trump in 2016. So both these states, I think, are going to see very strong margins for the former president. And so these are all of the lean states I currently have for Donald Trump. For the lean states for Joe Biden, starting off with the state of Texas, 40 electoral votes. This state, has been a disaster for the Republican Party since Trump has moved in. In 2016, he won the state by just 3%. In 2020, he only won the state by a margin of 0.2. And in 2018, we saw Beto O'Rourke almost destroy Ted Cruz. He was very close to winning, and by destroy, I mean honestly just winning the state, because of how big of a deal it would be for a Democrat to unseat a Republican incumbent senator in the state. And in 2024, Beto O'Rourke is running against Governor Greg Abbott, and this race at this point is just lost for the GOP. I also have the states of Ohio and Minnesota, very long Democratic voting histories, especially Minnesota, the state with the longest history of voting for the Democratic Party. With the at-large vote in the state of Nebraska, that will go for Biden as well, and the state of Montana. So these are some pretty easy, obvious calls, although these states, the margins will be a little bit closer. They are states that at the end of the day really have no chance at going to Donald Trump. The state of Georgia is the same. Biden flipped the state in 2020 for the first time for the Democratic Party since 1992. This is Jimmy Carter's home state. Jimmy Carter has played a big role in Democratic politics in the state of Georgia for the last couple of decades. He single-handedly helped Bill Clinton win this state in 1992, and after his absence in following elections for a little bit, the Democrats did lose it, but they were able to gain it back with Carter's help in 2020, and so this is going to give Joe Biden another 16 electoral votes. I also have the states of Kentucky and Tennessee. This time we're going to talk about the tilt states. Both these states going to be tilt for the GOP. I think that, this region is sandwiched between Missouri, Arkansas, West Virginia, and Virginia, as well as, North Carolina and Illinois being nearby. This is a very contentious region. Same thing with the South here. So I think it is going to be very close, but these states, just have a much longer history at voting for the Republicans. But Louisiana, with its more liberal electoral history, it will obviously be a little bit to the left, so I'm going to give that to Joe Biden. The state of Florida, I will be giving to Donald Trump, 30 electoral votes. Of course, this is where he now lives, so he will obviously carry the state. The state of Iowa, as well as the 3rd district of Nebraska, will both go to Joe Biden, as well as the 2nd district of Maine going for the incumbent president. And finally, we have 2 more states left on this map. Very, very close races. Starting off with the race in the state of Rhode Island, it's 4 electoral votes. Although this state has a very Democratic voting history, just the fact that Trump is doing so well in neighboring Massachusetts and Connecticut will have a big impact, especially with the fact that New England typically does vote together. And finally, with the vote in New Jersey split between New Yorkers as well as those in the former middle colonies of Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland. The state of New Jersey is going to be a very close one, but in the end, Donald Trump is going to pick it up. And this is my finalized prediction for the 2024 presidential election, after, of course, Donald Trump has just now announced that he will be running for re-election, and I will be giving Donald Trump currently 279 electoral votes, 259 for Joe Biden. Looking at this map, this is, of course, very standard, what we typically see. Joe Biden winning the traditionally Democratic states, Donald Trump doing the same for the GOP, but there are a few surprises, and of course the South will continue to be a very contested region. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to join my Discord server if you have not, link at the very top of the description below. Comment down below how you feel about this prediction. I personally think that it will hold true, even late next year, or late in 2024. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you have not, and I will see you guys in the next video.